Good afternoon, students. I hope you are doing good today. So today we'll start with the first chapter of computer, that is the computer hardware. So now in this chapter, first we will see what are the objectives of the chapter, that means what you are going to learn in this chapter, and then we will see the further topics into it. Coming to the objectives of the chapter. So in this chapter you will be learning what is a computer and what is IPO cycle. IPO stands for Input Process Output Cycle. Once we learn what is IPO cycle, then we will look into what are the different hardware devices in computer. Okay children, so now let us understand what is a computer or what is the definition of computer. So as we all know, computer works on electricity. So the first fact about computer is an electronic machine. So now, how does this electronic machine work? So we all know, first we have to give some input to the computer. Once the computer receives the input, it will process your information. And once the processing is done, then you will see the processed data, that is output, using some output devices. So in simple terms, you can say computer is an electronic machine that takes input, processes it and gives output. So this is the definition of computer. So children, coming to the IPO cycle. So as you can see in the above diagram, in IPO cycle, we will have three major units. First is the input. So input will be given by using different input devices. Once the input is given, it is passed on to the central unit, which is called the processing unit. Now in computer, your CPU or the microprocessor is the processing unit. So now in this processing unit, there are three subunits. First is the control unit. Second one is arithmetical and logical unit, that is ALU. And the last one is memory unit. Now once the data has been processed in the processing unit, the processed data, that is your output, is displayed by using the third unit, that is the output unit. Now let us understand the IPO cycle with an example. Suppose we give an input 2 plus 5. So now this input is given by using your input device keyboard. So you type 2 plus 5 on the keyboard. Now this input is given to the processing unit. Now in the processing unit, CU, that is your control unit, is the one which will control the complete processing part, that is the complete IPO cycle. Now CU will send the instruction to the ALU, where the calculation will be made. So ALU is responsible for all the arithmetic and logical operations in your computer. Now once the arithmetic and logical operation have been applied, your data, your processed output is displayed on the screen by using the different output devices. So in this case, it will be your monitor. Now where does the memory unit come? So whenever you have certain data which is to be acquired from your storage, then at the time of processing in ALU will send the control to the memory unit to retrieve the data, that means to get the data. Memory unit will look into the storage, and from the storage it will pick the data and send it to the arithmetic and logical unit. So this is how the complete IPO cycle will function, and this cycle will be controlled by your control unit. So let us once revise it again. So in IPO cycle, we will first have the input. So input unit will send the input to the processing part. In processing unit, we have control unit, arithmetic and logical unit, and memory unit. Then the process data will be sent to the output in the output unit. So now that you are aware of the IPO cycle here, so we will first discuss about how to give input and how do we receive output. So for input and output, we will make use of some hardware. Now let us see what is hardware. So children, hardware are the physical parts of the computer that you can touch and feel. So we call them as peripherals as well. So once again, hardware are the physical parts of the computer that you can touch and feel. So now in this chapter, we will categorize these hardwares into three categories and study them. So the first category is input devices, second category is output devices, and the third category is storage devices. Now before going further into them, I want you to do a small activity. Now you can take out your notebook and pen, put the heading as input devices and list any 5 input devices of your choice. So by now you must have written at least 2. So keep writing. Okay, so by now you might have written all the 5 input devices. Now put the heading as output devices and list any 5 output devices. By now you must have written at least 2. Keep writing. Okay, so now you must have written all the 5 output devices. Now put the heading as storage devices and write any 5 storage devices. So for this you must be thinking really hard because some of them are common, but then for some you have to think. So you must have written at least 3 by now. Keep writing. Okay, so now you might have a list of 5 input devices, 5 output devices and 5 storage devices with you. Now let us discuss different input, output and storage devices one by one. So children, coming to the input device, the very first device which we are going to learn is keyboard. So as you all know, keyboard is a text-based input device. That means it allows the user to enter characters of an alphabet, numbers and other special characters. So other special characters are nothing but the symbols like full stop, comma, question mark, forward slash, backward slash. So all this comes under special characters or symbols. Now if you see on the keyboard, there are different keys performing different functions. So that is the reason keyboard is the text-based input device. The second input device we will study is mouse. The mouse is a very small input device which is used to point a particular place on the screen. So this is nothing but the cursor. So if you look at the mouse, in mouse you will have right click and left click. So left click of the mouse is used to select something or to make the selection, whereas with the right click of the mouse you see options. The next input device is a joystick. So we all play games, right? And to control the movement of the character in the game, we use a joystick. So if you see, joystick has a vertical stick which is used to move the graphics. Apart from video games, joystick can be used for controlling the robots or for training the simulators. Now, coming to the next input device, that is the scanner. So children, scanner is an input device which is directly used to enter the data from the source in the computer. So let's say you have a document with you and you want to convert that into a digital file and mail to your friend. So what do? We simply take the paper, scan it with the scanner and directly mail the digital file. So if you see here in scanner, your hard copy of the data is directly converted into the digital format, and then you can do whatever you want with that digital formatted data. Now come to the next input device, that is a barcode reader. Imagine when you go to shopping malls or you go to your school library, the cashier or the person sitting at the counter of the library has a handheld device where they scan some codes from the textbook or from the commodities you are purchasing. These codes are nothing but the vertical striped lines. So these vertical striped lines are called the barcodes. And to read these barcodes, we have the device called the barcode reader. So when you scan the barcode with the barcode reader, all the information about that object will be displayed on your computer screens. Next, the next device we are going to study is a light pen. So light pen is a pen-shaped device and it is used to select objects on a display screen. So now children, light pens are very common when we are using the computer aided designs. So it is like a mouse itself, but then it uses the pen like structure and the movements of the light to select the objects or move the pointer. The next one is very common, that is the touch screen. So nowadays if you see, you can use the touch screens to operate your mobile phones, to operate your tablets, to operate your laptops, and even to operate the very big screens of the projectors. So if you see children, simply by a simple touch, you can operate or function the device. The next one is the digital camera. So children, the digital camera is different from the ordinary camera. So ordinary camera is the one where you insert a reel where the photographs will be displayed on the reel and then you have to take out the hard copy. Whereas in the digital camera, you just click the picture and the picture is converted into a digital format. Now this digital formatted picture is stored in the device itself in the memory storage like a memory card. So the benefits of digital camera is you can store more data on the memory chip inside the camera. The next device we are going to study is a microphone. So microphone is a speech-based input device. That means this device will identify your speech and then it will convert the speech into the audio format. So now for this you will need a sound card in your computer or in your device. So this sound card will recognize your speech and then your speech is converted into the audio input. So children, this is about some of the input device we commonly use in day-to-day life. Now I want you to do a small activity. I have some list of questions for you. You have to write the answers to these questions in your copies. So now your first question is, what are the physical components of the computer called? So you can write down only the answers. Second question, a text-based input device that has buttons for characters, numbers is dash. Third one, define computer. Next question, write the full form of ALU, CPU. And the last question, what is control unit? So the answers to all the self-assessment questions I'll be giving you along with the PDF of the notes for this chapter. Now, coming to the next part, that is output devices. Now children, once you give the input and the computer processes it, it is very important to see the process data. So process data is nothing but the output. And to see this output, you will need the output devices. So the first basic output device you will need is the monitor. So if you look at the monitor, earlier we had the CRT monitors which were quite big in size. But then with the advancement of the technology, nowadays we use the LCD monitors. So LCD monitors are quite compact in size. Next, the next output device we are going to study is a printer. So printer will convert your digital document into the hard copy or onto a paper. So let's say you have a file with you or a letter which you have drafted in MS Word. Now, if you want a hard copy of that, you can directly give the command to print, and then from the printer you will be getting a hard copy of your letter. Now there are two types of printer. One is impact printers, second one is non-impact printers. Now children, let us see what is the difference between impact and non-impact printer. So impact printer, they use the typewriting pattern mechanism. For example, let's say whenever you want to print something using the impact printers, so every character will be printed on your paper with a it will be printed on the paper with a striking of hammer format, like how it is done in a typewriter. So in this category, in impact printers, the two examples are dot matrix printers and the character printers. So these two types of printers, they work with the typewriter printing format. Then come to the second type, that is non-impact printers. So in non-impact printers, it will not be touching your paper for printing. Rather, it will use chemical or heating or electrical signal format to print the document. Now the printers which we use day to day nowadays, like inkjet printers, the deskjet printer, laser printer, so these are the non-impact printer. Next, the next output device is a plotter. So plotters are used to print the graphical outputs, and usually you will be using plotters to print the big size paper drawings. The next output device is speaker. So children, speaker is a very commonly used output device to hear the audio inputs or to hear the audio sounds. You will be making use of the speakers. The last output device what we are going to discuss is a projector. So projectors are used to display the outputs on large screens. When you have very big screens like in your theaters, or when you want to see the objects on a very big screens like in your classrooms, in the smart classes. So in that case, we will make use of a projector rather than a monitor to display. So this is about the output devices. Now after this I have some questions for you. So there are some self-assessment questions for you after the output devices. So the first question is, name two output devices. The second question is, give an example of non-impact printers. So you have to write one example of non-impact printers. Then next one is, write which output device is used to display output on a large screen or wall. I hope you are done with all the three questions. Now let us move to the next part, that is the storage devices. So children, in the storage devices you will have two types of storage. One is primary storage and the second one is the secondary storage. So primary storage is already inbuilt in your computers. Secondary storage are the storage which you will be attaching externally to the computer. So now in the secondary storage we will first talk about the hard disks. So children, these hard disks are already attached in your computers which will hold the data regarding your operating system, programs and other information. Now usually there is only one hard disk in every computer, but to expand the storage capacity of your computer, you can take an external hard disk and make use of it. The storage capacity of the hard disk is usually measured in GBs. Then come to the next storage devices, that is CD or DVD. So CD and DVD, these disks are also used for storing the data, but then the capacity of CDs and DVDs is less when compared to a hard disk. So CD stands for compact disc and DVD refers to digital versatile disc or digital video disc. So here you may use CD and DVD for storing small files but not the files which are in GBs. The next and the commonly used storage device is a pen drive or a flash drive. So pen drives are available in market in different forms with different sizes. So according to your requirement, you can select or purchase a pen drive with a specified size and make use of it. So children, these are some commonly used hardware devices in your day-to-day life. Now whenever you are functioning with the computer, it's always with hardware and then software and then you function as a full. So in this chapter we have discussed only the hardware part. So in the next chapter you will study what are softwares, what are the different types of softwares, and depending on your requirement, how do you select which software are you going to use. So before that, you may just write some questions about the storage devices and answer them. So the first question is, write the full form of RAM and ROM. So full form of RAM, RAM, ROM, ROM. Both of them are primary memories. The second one is, write two examples of secondary storage. So you have to write any two examples of the secondary storage. So answers to all the self-assessment questions I'll be giving you along with the PDF of the notes. So children, you can just go through the chapter and review this video once again to have a better understanding of what hardwares are.